Hey guys, Chef Ro here. Welcome to our next video in the series. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but today we're going to talk about knives again. Today we're going to talk about the importance of how sharp your knives are. Now, it's about that time of year where everybody pulls out the knife and the big stick thingy and decides to flail it in the air, and it doesn't actually do much good if they're not doing it right. But I want to show you how to actually use this stick thingy, which is also known as a honing steel, that comes with most of your knife blocks. Okay? First and foremost, I have to get it out of the way. This does not sharpen your knife. This only straightens the blade. Okay? It's called a honing steel. Some people call it a straightening steel because that's what it does. It straightens your blade. If you looked under a microscope, your knife has these tiny microscopic little teeth, and what happens is as you hit the cutting board with it, they bend a bit. So your knife ends up looking a bit like this, okay? This honing steel, that'll take it back to what we call true. So today I'm going to show you how to use this properly, since you should be using it every time you use your knife. Now, most manufacturers say every 2 to 3 times you use your knife, but I say I can't remember. So why not just get in the habit? It's not going to do your knife any harm to do it every time. And in fact, you're going to find it much more enjoyable to cook because your knife will feel sharper. Because quite frankly, this doesn't feel sharp, this does. Okay? So first and foremost, if you see people doing it around there, just sitting there flailing it around, this is perfectly fine. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the easiest way and the most reliable way. Because by pushing up here, if you're using the proper amount of weight, you're going to throw your angle up, and that's going to be the biggest problem. So what you're going to want to do is find yourself a towel or a paper towel or something like that. You're going to take that, set it down, and you're going to put your honing steel straight on top of it. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do is figure out your angle. Okay? Most German and German style knives that are more than 10 years old are about 22 degrees. The new ones are going to be about 16 degrees. Okay? Asian style knives, and if you don't know if you have an Asian style knife, you don't. Those tend to be between 13 and 16 degrees, but in general, the rule of thumb is better to go too narrow than too wide. Okay? So the easiest way to find your angle, this is 90 degrees, half of that is 45, half of that is 22. So if you have an older knife, a German knife especially, that's where you stop. If you have an Asian knife or a newer German style knife, you pull it in just a little bit. And there we go. Now you're going to want to use about 5 pounds of pressure on this. And I know you're sitting there thinking, how in the heck am I supposed to figure out what 5 pounds of pressure is? Easy. Put a scale down, take your knife, press down on it until it reads 5 pounds. That's how much force you want to use. I can't tell you how often I sit and watch people going like this, and I'm like, not doing any good. Because if you don't put pressure on it, it's not going to bend that steel back into place. So we're going to go all the way base to tip, because the next biggest problem people do is they don't get all the way to that base. This is the part that hits your cutting board the most often, so it gets dull the fastest. So you've got to make sure to get it all the way base to tip. Okay? I alternate sides. If you want to go all one side and then all the other, that's fine. But you want to go about 5 times each side every time you use your knife. There is one other thing that people do that causes more harm than good. They want to see the angle. So they'll get down and they'll go like this because they want to see it. But do you see how my knife is rolling out? I'm exaggerating slightly, but they'll do this. Again, the wider you go, the more harm you'll do rather than good, because if you go too wide, it's actually going to bend the knife out the wrong way, and you're going to end up with this. We don't want that because it's not going to feel sharp. Okay? So 5 pounds of pressure, find your angle, 3, 4, 5, and you're done. Every single time you use your knife. Get in the habit of doing it as you pull it out or as you put it away. A sharp knife is the only way that your knife is safe. You'll cut yourself less. You'll cry less with onions. More on that later. You're also going to be able to get through your prep work faster. That sharp knife is going to make you chop faster, easier, and it's going to be more precise, which is going to help you in the long run. Okay, so now that you know how to do it properly, no more just sitting here waving stuff around, showing off, thinking it's doing any good. Because I'm not saying you've been doing it wrong, but